Now we want to hear from the president of the National Congress of Black Political Women, which I had something to do when it was founded, including help to found it, who has had a distinguished political career in her own right and has of late been taking the lead on this issue of violence against women. See Delores Tucker. Let's bring on.
First of all, I want to say that Reverend Jesse Jackson and the National Rainbow Coalition are to be commended for their foresight in addressing the #1 domestic problem in this nation, violence in America. The National Political Congress of Black Women is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization created in 1984 at the suggestion of Reverend Jackson at the 1984 Democratic National Convention to empower African American women economically and politically. Its founding members do include some of the most prominent and concerned women in America, including Mary Berry and Dr. Dorothy Height, our mayor of this city, Alexis Herman, Dr. Gloria A. Toot, Jewel Jackson McCabe, Reverend Willie Barrow, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, Eleanor Holmes Norton, Curtis Collins, and Congresswoman Barbara Rose Collins. We embrace and salute the goals of this conference. Today we have all come together to join forces to address the issue of violence in the nation. A violence which has decimated our communities, devastated our families, and destroyed the souls of so many of our youth. It is imperative that we stop the agendas that are not too relevant as this, that we stop pondering over the issue of space exploration, that we stop debating whose diary we should publicize, that we stop arguing over what choices each lifestyle has. For today we must be serious about this serious situation, this plague, this death to our society. Our greatest fear right here in America is not from hurricanes or earthquakes, not from disease or war, but from violence one against the other. We must understand clearly that violence comes in many forms and is acted upon by many sources. Whether we are talking about physical violence, spiritual violence, economic violence, or sexual violence, the end result is the same: the destruction of human life. Enough is enough. And I'd like someone to bring me what made me say enough is enough. Where's my graphic? Bring it up here, please, somebody. I am here to put the nation on notice that violence perpetuated against women through the music industry in the forms of gangster rap and misogynist lyrics will not be tolerated any longer. Principle must come before profit. A year ago, I established the National Political Congress of Black Women's Entertainment Commission, headed by Dionne Warwick, Melba Moore, Terry Rossi of Billboard magazine, and Vaughn Alexander, our director. It had one primary goal: the task of examining and developing strategies and solutions for reshaping and maintaining positive images to preserve the dignity and the heritage of our youth, instead of continuously exposing our youth to negative media that distorts their images of male-female relationships, that undermines the stability of our families, communities, and nation by encouraging violence, abuse, and sexism as acceptable behaviors, and perpetuates the cycle of low self-esteem of African American youth. Thus, images that degrade our dignity and are an insult to our children, our families, and communities concern us too. And that includes all this gangster rap and misogynist lyrics. Music that glorifies and promotes violence with guns, knives, or drugs, and denigrates and defames women. And with the release of Snoop Doggy Dog's debut album, Doggy Style, that includes artwork that is nothing but pornographic smut, available to any child to go in and buy with the album and with a record. That has got to stop. You want to know why I'm on the warpath? When I saw this, I said, that's it. We march again, and we're going to keep on marching and demonstrating the truth stuff. For 400 years, prophet came before principle, as black women bore the brunt of slave masters' degradation. But even through the Middle Passage, the peculiar institution of slavery, the spirit of black women and their families could not be broken. Today, however, through the lyrics of rappers who display no respect for women, no respect for families, and little respect for themselves, the souls of our sisters are being destroyed, and so too their progeny. All of us have watched as the industry have grown. We have watched not really knowing, not really understanding, not first realizing the damage that is inherent in what some thought were merely words. Now we see the direct and indirect effects. We see the rise in murders, in abuse, in batterings, teen prostitution, and teen suicide. We hear the wailing mothers, the grieving sisters, the tormented brothers and fathers and children planning their own funerals with pink dresses and pink caskets. We feel their hopelessness and helplessness, and we embrace their pain. Yet in the midst of these tragedies, others still want to argue about the First Amendment right to freedom of speech, a freedom they have embraced to call African American women hoes and bitches and sluts and even worse. As I see it, there are three things wrong with gangster rap and misogynist lyrics. It is obscene, it is obscene, it is obscene. In my view, it was never intended by the founding fathers of this nation that First Amendment rights were meant to protect obscenities. And if there were founding mothers, it would have been more explicit about what the First Amendment meant. Obscenity,
I'm not sure I know that part.
Obscenity has long been an exemption. Obscenity, and we have the Attorney General here, I believe it's right. Obscenity has long been an exception to free speech. If the filth that is portrayed in these gangster rap videos and art is not obscene, then I submit that nothing is obscene. In 1992, the Canadian Supreme Court ruled that it was more important to ban speech that is dehumanizing to women than to protect free speech. African American women have always been the protected nurturers of their homes, their families, and their communities. We march for our rights to Selma. I was there with Dr. King. We're beaten with billy clubs, and we're bitten with dogs unleashed by bull connors. We will not tolerate injustice and insults from our worst enemies then, and we sure ain't gonna accept insults from our youth now.
All right. Okay.
Although the NPCBW condemns the actions of those young people who produce such music, we also realize that we must provide other channels for them to use these multiple talents they have in a positive and wholesome way. After all, they are not the root causes of the complex socioeconomic forces that are manifested in such vile entertainment. Those problems were there long before many of them were born. Those problems must be addressed if the communities that produce those gangster rappers are to survive and thrive. We know some of the problems, and now on behalf of NPCBW, I will offer up some solutions so that we can help turn this nation around and communities around. First of all, we must use all means possible to eradicate and ban the sale of illegal guns. We must remove guns from the hands of our children and our gangsters who are so proud of the power of the gun. That's number one. Number two, we must reinvent our educational system to include more vocational training to provide a successful transition between school and work for those who will not continue to go on to college. We must extend the school hours in the school year so that latchkey children teachers will be from their schools instead of from the street. We must provide educational opportunities for our prisoners so that they will be productive citizens when their tour of prison is over. I met with Senator Carol Mosley Braun, and I was very pleased to amend what she was introducing to the Senate, not only educational opportunities, but training opportunities as well. And she has proposed mandated training for all prisoners in education.
Now,
we must provide...
See, Dolores, now you don't have to say everything you want to say this time. You'll get to talk again.
Well, I've just got one more page, and may I finish? I wait a long time to come, and let me just finish it. Please.
Okay, well, if you can
I only
move
got
it up,
one more
okay?
little page here.
All right.
To provide community outreaches so that our youth who have embraced the gangs as their only family will find refuge in community institutions, neighborhood academies, and educational programs. Convert our unused military bases into institutions of peace, where men and women can be trained to become productive citizens who will contribute to the well-being of this nation, expand our nation's infrastructure where needed, and make this nation a powerful global force. I stand before you today with millions of my sisters to say that no one has the right to degrade, denigrate, dishonor, or disrespect African American women. No one has the right to poison our children's mind and destroy our African cultural heritage. That is why the women of NPCBW and our supporters will demonstrate. We'll go to jail again and again and again, just as we did when we demonstrated at the Wiz in December and Sam Goody yesterday. No one and no industry will be allowed to continue this social and psychological genocide.
Woo, baby. What up, what up, what up? Welcome to Nights with Nicci. Welcome to Nights with Nicci. Welcome to Nights with Nicci, you guys. I had to make sure that I allowed that entire speech to roll. Now, I know some of y'all are like, okay, what is she doing here? Are we going live? Why are we listening to see Delores Tucker give us a long and much needed speech? However, it was like, I don't know. Was she right? Was she right? Was she wrong? I've been hearing a lot of talk in these streets about a lot of things that she mentioned. And it appears to me that much, if not every single word that Madam C. Delores Tucker mentioned in that speech has come to fruition in our community. Tonight on Nights with Nicci, we are asking a hard question. Why didn't we listen to C. Delores Tucker? Back in 1994, long before all this social media, there stood a woman at Capitol Hill before Congress warning us that if we did not check the messages in hip hop and in rap, especially the ones that are aimed at our youth and Black women, that we'd be starting down a pathway to generational damage. And instead of getting her support, she was ridiculed. Hip hop called her a B. I sang along to the song, "Wonder why they call you a bitch." What? I was singing right along with Jewel, whoever that was. She was dismissed as an out of touch church lady who was trying to kill the culture, who was trying to silence our youth. But C. Delores Tucker was not anti-Black, not at all. She was pro-Black future. She knew what we were listening to was going to end up putting the Black community exactly where we are today. And right now, we are in a pan full of hot ass fish grease. And I don't know if there's any coming back from it. But before we get into our C. Delores Tucker of it all, let's catch up and figure out how we landed where we are now. And to help me understand what is going on in the latest celebrity trials, literally, and legal issues, is my soror. Give a round of applause for my sister Lauren. Whoop, whoop. What up, L Boogie? So I'm sorry, you guys, we're a little late today. I'm sorry, why am I yelling? I have a microphone in front of me. She geeked up. Okay, Lauren, do you have an update for us on all of this hip hop debauchery and the Diddy trial? I heard that there was a new witness that testified and some stuff has been revealed. What you got for us, sis? Uh-oh, hold on. Are we, wait, hold on. Hold up, what's happening? Why can't I hear my sister? You there?
Yes, can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you, baby. Go for it.
Oh, okay. Because I was just like, what's going on? I'm on mute. Hey, everybody. How's it going this lovely Friday evening? I hope everybody is doing well. So with this, the update that's going on with Diddy right now. So, Brandon Paul, who we talked about on Wednesday, he did end up testifying in court, but the judge, essentially, according to CNN, has dismissed. He ended up dismissing the jury early for the day, and then they're going to come back next week, where the prosecution is going to rest their case, and then the defense will go ahead and get a chance to present their case. The question about if Diddy is going to testify in his own trial is still up in the air. I couldn't really find anything to say whether his attorneys are going to call him or not, but that's not necessarily something that would be made public knowledge before it actually happens. So we just kind of have to wait and see of what happens with that. And then as far as the other two cases that we've been discussing this week, there have been a lot of celebs that are coming to the aid of Tyler Perry, saying that they just, they don't believe it. They're like, it just seems very far-fetched. They don't understand, like, given the information that has been put out publicly, they're missing it. And some people are just like, these text messages are just like misconstrued, and a lot of people are saying they look like they've been chopped and screwed and pasted together. So and then no update on Shannon Sharp over the past couple of days, because yesterday was a national holiday, so all the courts and everything were all closed. But even though there's no update with that, and this doesn't have anything to do with entertainment, but it does have to do with our nation. The man that sits at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue had the audacity to say that there were too many federal holidays where people were not working, and some of them need to be removed. And he said it yesterday, and yesterday was Juneteenth. So we know what he was referring to.
Wow. Okay, well, that is definitely news to me. And what I've decided that we're going to not do on this here WIRF.TV YouTube channel and on Nights with Nicci is talk about things that don't even deserve to be amplified in our community. That was real slick and probably very intentional. But speaking of Juneteenth, you guys, let me just let y'all know right now. If you have not been down the Brownstone timeline, please do understand. As a matter of fact, some of y'all might not have seen it. But while some people are not celebrating Juneteenth because you're just in this space of like, well, long story short, I don't want to even bring them into the mess that we're going to discuss. But Camille Rose, shout out to Camille Rose, an amazing natural beauty product, hair product. They held an event last night called Dandy. It was a Dandy dinner gala, and it was absolutely fabulous. And Meech was there. He's here tonight. You guys, you got your Meech back, honey. Yes, Meech is back with us tonight. But before we go into that, let's continue on the subject of should we have listened to see Delores Tucker? So there is yet another case pending. And I don't know if y'all been hip to this, but where we at right here? Our brother Fat Joe. Our brother Fat, well, I guess he's still our brother because, you know, he's a brother in hip hop. Many of you may not be aware, but Terrence T.A. Dixon, another Dixon, which is very ironic. Fat Joe's former, I'm sorry, hold on one second, you guys. It's really crazy because I'm just like, oh yeah, another Dixon. Fat Joe's former hype man has filed a $20 million lawsuit in federal court, Southern District of New York, accusing the rapper of a range of serious misconduct over a 16-year period. Allegations include coercing Dixon into approximately 4,000 sexual acts performed in front of Fat Joe and his entourage. Ooh, I can't wait to get you and Big Meech in on this one right here. Sexual relationships with minors, which we got to be real careful about this. Again, let me say this. I did not say this ahead of time, and I should have. Lauren, you're supposed to be reminding me. This is all alleged until it is proven in a court of law before a jury, which, by the way, is something that I don't know if I told y'all, but I haven't received yet. But anyway, sexual ships with minors, including procuring body modification surgery and international travel for them. Ooh, financial fraud, psychological coercion, and withholding songwriting credits and royalties. Now, in Fat Joe's defense, through his attorney, John Tocopina, has vehemently denied these allegations, calling them complete fabrications, a blatant act of retaliation, and characterized Dixon's legal team as known sensationalist extortion tactics. Wow. He previously filed a defamation suit against Dixon earlier this year, alleging similar motives. Tocopina, I hope I'm saying that right. Tacopina, sorry, sir, notes some alleged victims don't even know Fat Joe and maintains that law enforcement is aware of the extortion claims. This is an ongoing legal battle. This case has just entered the public domain. Both sides are digging in for a protracted legal conflict. Roc Nation, Fat Joe's representation, is also named in the lawsuit, accused of concealing his royalty rights. Allegations include trafficking, fraud, elevating this to a severe federal civil case. This legal battle is in its early stages, but allegations, if true, are profoundly disturbing. Fat Joe maintains his innocence and is actively countering with defamation and extortion claims. Expect a lengthy courtroom showdown and testimonies to emerge. Wow, 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 wow. That is crazy. Again, these are all allegations, but I'm about to bring my panel up. About to bring my peoples from last night up in this mug. And baby, when I tell you, man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Please, if you guys are just coming in and watching us on YouTube, hit the like button. If you are watching us on LinkedIn and Facebook, please make sure you come over to YouTube and hit the subscribe button. This is a place for emotionally intelligent conversation. And of course, we got Dishing Tea with Big Meech, who has been in these YouTube streets for 11,000 trillion hundred years. And we got L Boogie, who got 75,000 masters. So I'm surrounded by two very smart, dynamic, straightforward, and honest individuals. And yes, indeed, we got a jam-packed show for y'all tonight. So Meech, tell me what you think about now Fat Joe being, are people just getting geeked up because Cassie got $57,000 million? Or is there something to this?
Girl, that's exactly what it is. Cassie got that money quickly. See, let's add that part. Cassie got that money quickly.
Yes, she did.
Okay. And because of that quickly, everybody's on this money train. Let me say something about Fat Joe. I don't know him personally. I slept on him during his reign in the hip hop world. I'm not a hip hop head. Okay. I am not. Do not come for me, honey. I'm not. I'm very old school. But There are elements of it because I'm very musically eclectic. So there are elements of everything that I can listen to. I just didn't gravitate to all of that stuff, especially when it turned gangster rap. And I know, honey, that wasn't me. But one of the things that Fat Joe has done over time, and that they, in all interviews that carried on, it was the whole big thing about, about Rainbow being in the hip hop industry, and he was one of the first openly uh, big hip hop stars to say, I don't know why y'all sleeping on that community, honey. They've been everywhere. They the AI persons. They the this person. They the that person. That gay has been, or Rainbow has been, in the music industry, and it doesn't make sense why they can't be a part of hip hop, a part of this out and openly. But he did say that the culture of hip hop itself shuns on it and carrying on and make it less than. So he has always been an ally for us. Now, whether he did it or not personally, I've never heard him say anything bad on a professional level or in public. However, that has always been my attachment to him. Plus, he loves my big little sister Stephanie Mills. He and I have that in common. He's a Stephanie Mills fan, and I love that. So that's my connected to him, to where I feel like we're kindred souls. This whole thing here that we got going on, girl, let's call it for what it is. And I said this the other day. We all come in knowing that this music industry, or the entertainment industry, honey, is sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Okay, we've been saying that. This fool, and this is just me talking. Y'all don't have to like it. But this fool that done sit up there and want to bring out these little allegations, talking about something. Oh, how in that? How you gonna sit up there and count, talking about something? Oh, it was 4,000 times I done been coerced into having all kinds of sexual activities in front of him and the Negro. If you don't quit fucking playing, y'all know what the hell it was, and y'all know how when men get together, we Jones on each other. Oh, you little punk, you little P, you scared of what's the little song like? You scared of the Uzi? Okay, you scared of the coochie? That's the song now. But hell, me and Jones on each other like that. So you in an environment where y'all smoking and drinking and carrying on. You wanted to do it anyway, and now you gonna sit up and say you was coerced into doing something. And then you're going to have a nerve to say 4,000 times.
Wait. Hold on. First, listen. Let me explain something to y'all about Meech. I have been knowing him my whole life. He is dead ass serious. This is not teasing or making light of a potential victim. And we're laughing because his delivery is dishing tea with Big Meech. But I just need to say that real quick, because this could be, even though this could be a very serious thing, but go ahead, Meech. I just want to make sure that the audience does not get turned off by us laughing, if indeed this turns out to be true.
Serious stank on it, okay? Because here's where this is. You're saying that you've been doing this for 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
All right? 16 years. If any of this was serious, if any of this had any kind of something, number one, why didn't you not leave prior to? Because you have the option of saying, you know what, this is too much for me, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? You kept your job. Okay, you stayed there. You stayed in the mess. If this was so much of a bother, where is the other part of this conversation when you said you went to go pull his coattail? Yo, Joe, dude, you disrespected. You know how we get. You disrespected me, man. Where's all that part of the conversation? You know what I'm saying? Where is that? Where are the fights? Because I'm sure you done got up in somebody's face. If they were disrespecting you as a man, where are the stories of the fights and the this, that, and the other, but you were trying to defend your manhood and your honor? Where's that? Because in all 16 of these fucking years, we heard this is the first time anybody is saying anything about Fat Joe in this regard. So where is that conversation? Where your besties at? Because you done told somebody. You told somebody what was going on, where they at to corroborate this damn story. So see, this is where it becomes, something rotten in the cotton or flies in the milk, honey. This is where all that is, because now you said 16 damn years, child. And I'm sorry. I'm having a problem with the count of 4,000 times. I'm having a problem with that. Okay, because now I'm starting to agree with the lawyers presenting, saying your lawyer team is known for making a sensationalized story out of a case. If y'all know that this team does that, then we're coming in knowing that the cards are already stacked. The card y'all dealing with a loaded deck, coming in trying to get sympathy, trying to get this, trying to get that. And what we also know about these kinds of cases is that if I embarrass you enough, or if the story is strong enough, because perception is 9/10 of belief in this thing. If I could get the public to halfway believe this some kind of way, and then it embarrasses you, I could get a quick cash on it, because y'all be willing to settle out of court to make this go away. I get a couple of little, a little coin, okay, enough to pay the lawyers and this, that, and the other. I could go chill in Mexico and Brazil some damn where and do the same shit that you were just talking about. I was doing in front of y'all, and now I can have my own little soiree.
Hold on, bitch. Pause on that note. We want to get in. Thank you guys for coming in and hanging out with us on Nights with Nicci. We really appreciate it. I know, listen, y'all, sometimes I'll be a little late, but better late than never. And if you are just joining this conversation, who we are talking about is the gentleman over here, over there. Fat Joe. And we just had a really interesting comment come in from Danica. Hey, Danica, welcome back, sis. Welcome back. Thank you for coming back. And she says, if this is true, then why is none of this reported to the authorities over 16 years and not one report? That is a very interesting point indeed. Very interesting point indeed. And EXO, hey EXO, thank you for hanging with us again. EXO says, this lawsuit comes months after Fat Joe sued this hype man for defamation and slander. The optics on this are retaliatory. Wow, I would have to agree. And it's a very thin line between standing with victims, right? Because it feels a little weird, especially based, what we do. It feels a little strange to be saying that a person speaking up for something so serious is actually not telling the truth. That's really dangerous. Lauren, I want to ask you, how do we navigate? Because when you're listening to, real quick, and you gave us the report on Diddy, right? So when we're listening to the reports that his assistant got on the stand and his assistant was basically like, hey, listen, I stayed up all night because I wanted to. I was young and ambitious. And they said that he presented very, very well. He is of the Caucasian persuasion. So, there's that. He was not the drug. Well, he claims that he was not the drug mule. He was just basically, those were Diddy's personal drugs, right? So you got all of these scenarios that seem, and then the Tyler Perry thing. I mean, it's literally like, I don't know if somebody can count and let us know how many of these cases are going on right now at this very moment. But serious question, Lauren, it is really dangerous based on the fact that we know that what Delores Tucker said at the beginning of the show. If you guys missed it, please make sure you rewind it and watch the whole thing, because I was trying to figure out where to cut it, what to take out, what not to play, because it is long. It's 12 minutes. But it is, and please hit the like button also. Thank you very much. Please hit the like button and share the video. But she said so much important stuff, right? So if we're living in a society where we're supposed to always believe the victims, right? We know that women are objectified. We know that there's this narrative out there that Black women and BIPOC women and just women in general ain't shit. And it's been going on for 30 years. And that is very real. And we know the parties are real. Like, the whole point is, we're not saying that Diddy didn't do these horrible things and didn't beat Cassie and all that other stuff and have these wild parties and shit. But what we're saying now is that because it was painted to be so much going on, and now we're starting to see, based on testimony, that is not quite as serious as we thought. are we playing with fire? Like, is this going to become a situation that's going to make it? If we find out all these people, the Tyler Perry people, the people that are going after Fat Joe, the people that are going after Shannon Sharp, if we find out that all of these people, the claim doesn't go anywhere and the cases get dismissed and dropped. And that's the other thing. Cases get dismissed and dropped because people have money and power and influence. And not only do they have money and power and influence, and I'm about to wrap this up and let you speak, Lauren, but they also have the benefit of public opinion. If they like you, they're going to believe you. Like you said, Tyler Perry can do no wrong. Listen, I don't even know that it's possible. Above the law might actually be a thing for some people. That's all I'm going to say. But how does this impact? You're doing a whole dissertation and whole research paper on these narratives and these archetypes. Does this put us at risk of people not believing us? Because they already don't care when it happens to us.
It puts us more at risk than what we already are. So part of it is that if you look at, this type of assault historically, a lot of times when women would speak out and say, this happened to me, I was R-worded by this person, they would go to the police, because most of the police were men. They didn't believe it, and they would just, like, oh, well, we don't need a report, or, you must have changed your mind or something like that. It becomes harder for like true victims to do things when you have other people who just claim that they were a victim because they want to get some of the spotlight, like in this whole thing that happened with Bill Cosby. And there were all of these women that were coming out, and then it was found out later that some of them, Janice Dickinson, she basically just made it up. It was just like, oh, well, it really didn't happen to me. I was just, I felt hers. It's like, no, it didn't happen to you. So what happens when those type of situations occur, then it makes the real victims either not come forward or they're not believed, because other people who it didn't happen to say it did happen to them, and then, sometime later admit that it didn't. So it's like a catch-22 for those that want to come forward and say, this is what happened to me, that can go into that detail of exactly every minute, because for some, women and men too, that it has happened to, it changes them after they become a different person. Some people can't get over it. Some people act like it didn't happen. Some people can move on. So it's like, it puts real victims between a rock and a hard place to say, I don't know if I should come forward or not. Now, the time frame and this whole thing with Fat Joe, which, everybody always hears these whispers about how this person is and that person is. Like, I have never heard anything negative about Fat Joe, like, ever, for real, except maybe like a fight or two in a club, like at the height of his, lean back days, but not anything to this extent. So I was a little like, while you were reading, I was like, I'm shocked. But if this really happened, then unfortunately it's not the person who is being accused that has to prove their innocence. It's the victim that has to prove that it happened. And that's right now in the justice system.
Yeah, and that is, again, what I'm talking about. Like, it's we kind of laughed and joked about it a little bit, but it really is like a very serious issue. And it's kind of crazy because people be like, oh, I can't imagine Fat Joe doing that, and I've never seen Fat Joe do it. Well, he wouldn't do anything like that. He wouldn't present that way. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's against the law. You know what I mean? Like, he wouldn't incriminate himself. So Tyler would not incriminate himself. I don't put shit past nobody, period. I don't put shit past nobody. Meech, I'm going to bring you in on this one. And I'm probably going to have to turn on my fan in a minute. Where them fans at? Woo, where them fans at? Case in point. And I hate to feel like I'm always plugging a project that I'm working on. However, for those of you who've been following WIRF.TV, Women in Reality Film TV, and we're actually music and media as well. But we did a movie called Social Conflict. And I got to put that movie back up. Somebody asked about it yesterday. But it basically is centered around an individual based on a true story. Meech knows who this is. Anybody who went to our high school knows who this is. And baby, when I tell you, there are still people to this day that probably went to school with us, still educators and folks who would be like, Tillis, never. They would never believe that this man, based on how he presented, based on all the positive things he did for the kids, was molesting little boys in the choir all the time, taking people's innocence away from them. Part of the reason why people didn't want to, and these were, again, in the case of both Dixons, the Dixon and the Tyler, and that's, Dixon. Interesting, but whatever. Get my mind out the gutter. I'm just saying. They are both men. And for some reason, when men report sexual violence and SA and molestation and all that, it isn't taken quite as seriously as when women do it. And even black women aren't taken as seriously as non-black people. So Meech, I'm gonna bring you in on this conversation. You know who I'm talking about, our music teacher. What people present all the time like they would never do this. And they do it. And what's really crazy is it seems to happen more often with young men. Even though there are women that molest, I don't know this YouTube thing, but there are women who do this to men as well and other women. But I'm saying it seems like there's a lot of men who are doing this to other men, vulnerable men who either work for them or whatever. And do you think that they're like testing to see, you know what I'm saying? Like, is this about sexuality? Is this what is it? I'm confused because it happens a lot. So break it down for us, Meech, and also touch on what you know about Tillis motherfucking Butler. And I say his name every time I get, because he's in the ground now where he belongs.
Name, and even though he's no longer with us, we have to say his name. It's very interesting because I did not have that experience with him while we were in school, and I think.
Wait, why do you think that is, Meech? Why do you think that is? Because you were more.
Exactly. There you go. Exactly. I was open. I was flamboyant, and I could have been one who would have told or whatever, because if anybody had said, if I had said a teacher touched me, and a male teacher, they would have believed it because I was already, well, you heard the rumors and carrying on to what was going on at the time, and. When we were in high school, I was just becoming sexually active. So to have older men like him, honey, that was my forte. Okay, that was my forte. So and that was because of the grooming. See, it's part of the grooming. I came out, and so back in my younger days, we used to call them chicken hawks. Okay, older men who like younger boys or whatever, we call them chicken hawks. Okay. And so I know, I know, I know. So that there was part of the thing. So I did not have that experience with Tillis. Okay. But I tell the story all the time because I remember it like it was yesterday. And I don't remember the student's name. All I know is we were in choir, this was choir, not men's ensemble. And we were uh, learning how to breathe from the diaphragm, right? And he wanted to show me because I was still having problems with having everything come from my throat. So he was like, "No, you need to push first." And he went over to the guy and he touched his stomach, right? And it was the way how he touched it. I would never forget how the guy he clammed up And all he did was look out the window. Cause remember how the classroom was? We had the big old choir loft where we stood there. We had that other little room, right? We were in that other room, and the guy would just stand there. And he would look out the window, and he would just let Tillis touch him, and Tillis was just going all over him. You know, like, you don't want to. You don't want to touch me. You don't want to come here. You want to come from here. Now do it again, and he would make it, so that his stomach will aspirate or whatever. And then he had me to touch his stomach so I can feel what breathing from the diaphragm was. And it was the way how that young man looked that has always, 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 always just it paralyzed me because I knew that he had been touched. I never thought it was from Tillis. I just knew he had been touched. Okay? Because that energy had changed. Now, I'm going to say this, and this is going to be very controversial what I'm about to say. And some of you may not like this. Okay, so I'm going to preface that. One of the reasons why the suspect or the culprit gets away with it is because they look for the ones who know they will say yes. You're talking about we were teenagers, okay? Everything around the school, honey. We had just come off of looking at Purple Rain, honey. We, Apollonia with the titties that carried out. We are adolescent men, young men whose hormones are just starting to rage and carry on. We have just found out what sexual experience is. We have just found out what ejaculation is. Okay. So for those who are daring, those who are bold, those who are closeted, okay, and was dipping in the dark, those are the kinds of students that a lot of Tillis was going after because Philip Ruffin was one. Remember Big
Wow, right.
Phil?
Yes, of course. He died in he passed away in a car accident.
And a
So
car
do you
accident on
think
his way back to school.
do you think that people sort of, I mean, when as you're explaining this to me and I'm like replaying some of the claims of some of these people and some of these
Uh-huh.
cases with these celebs, it just feels
Mm-hmm.
like, so you're saying that chicken hawk thing, is that what you call it? A chicken hawk? What'd you call it?
Chicken hogs, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's real talk. So, okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Let me let.
A lot of and see when you're in the game of I want to find the one that says yes, you end up playing Russian roulette because you get the one that says no. But then you can coerce them because why? You coerce them with the career, you coerce them with the contract, you coerce them with special private lessons, you coerce them with gifts, you coerce them and that's what we call grooming. Okay, you can take the bait, honey, because hell, if you sit down studying your prey, okay, it's an adult game that we all know. We all know the game. It's just that when adolescents are coming into play, we're adolescents, honey. This is we're coming into our adulthood, so we learn how to play adult games. Okay. And so as we're learning how to play these games, those who feel they're sophisticated enough to handle it are the ones that are going to shut up and take the coin. Some of the girls got coin. Some of them got watches. Some of them got this, that, and other. Remember Charles Pugh, the news program, and the newsman, and carrying on for Channel 2? Same thing over at Murray High School, honey. Same thing. But here's the tea. He got caught and he ended up going to jail. Why? Because the money ran out. The boy's mama that he was sitting up there buying clothes and she wanted some more money and the money ran out. So what did she do? She pressed charges. This man been touching my son, got all the receipts, and Charles Pugh ended up going down. But when the money was coming in, it was all hush hush. And see, that's another part of this element where those who are victims did not ask for it, did not want this to be a part of it. They have been violated and now they have to deal with putting the pieces back together because I don't understand what this is. Trying to come forward becomes a situation because now am I going to be lumped into this category of Oh, you really want it? Oh, you ain't nothing but a closet queen anyway, honey. You know you do this anyway. You know it was if it wasn't him, it'd have been somebody.
That pause that thought real quick, Meech. And that is the reason why I think it's so important. And at first I want to say this because this is super duper important. Dwayne says such a tough subject. I'll never go for the victim shaming though. We all can think of things from our past that we should have spoken up about, and only we know the real reasons why we didn't. It's hard. It is difficult. But to your point, Meech, that may be the reason why when people say, well, why are they just now saying nothing? Why all of a sudden is this all of a sudden just coming up? That could have something to do with the reason why a lot of these victims that are coming forward are doing it. And I don't know if by the end of this whole Fat Joe thing and Diddy thing and Tyler thing and Shannon thing and Cosby thing and R. Kelly thing and Tory Lane, all of this stuff that's going on, I don't know if people will ever truly believe the victims. And this is a great opportunity for me to say again, I can never say enough, and I don't want to beat a dead horse. I was not in any way, shape, or form shaming or doubting Meg the Stallion when I said what I said about Tory Lanez. I have to keep reminding people of that because I know every day somebody new is looking. I was not I was saying I spoke out of turn. Again, I just have to keep saying that because it's very uncomfortable to sit on these platforms when you advocate for women on a regular basis, when you advocate against SA and domestic violence and all this stuff, and you actually, question whether or not a victim is being honest. Mish,
Let
do
me
you?
let me let me interject something because see, I need to throw this out here because I know that we trying to be PC, and I know everybody want to jump on this bandwagon of don't this victim shaming shit. But the reason why I don't take issue with it, but why I give a pushback is because we know everybody knows right from fucking wrong. Okay. Everybody knows right from fucking wrong. And everybody knows that every action has a damn consequence. So don't sit up here and tell me that we victim shaming when the shit sitting up there being in black and white and everybody there got a damn opinion. And you can sit up there and put the dots together and say, oh, how come? Because when you question it, it becomes a question. It's not victim shaming if you're sitting up there. It becomes victim shaming for me, and I'm telling me, we ain't got too politically correct, and everybody want to sit there and make sure that we don't hurt nobody's fucking feelings. If a hoe is sitting up there, and I know you a hoe, and you got on no clothes, okay, and you know what kind of attention that brings because you standing on the corner with no clothes on. Do I call you a victim because somebody came up and cat called say, hey mama, you looking good? And because you said no, don't talk to me, he can't unsee that. He can't unsee it. So do you become a victim because he looked at you naked? Or what? See, we have to go up in this thing, understanding that everybody knows right from wrong. Now, does it become, I got scared. I don't know how to talk. I don't know how to do this. This is a very powerful man. This is a very powerful woman. I didn't want to say nothing because I didn't want to ruffle no feathers. That's another part of this. A lot of people get into this thing or become they become stoic and don't know how to get out of it because they don't want to bring embarrassment onto the other person. They don't feel they have the power to fight because this person is so big. They don't want, you got family, oh, you don't want to do that, child. Look at the Tyler Perry. Oh, with all the stuff that he doing, you don't want to go up against him, girl. That's gonna make us look bad. How you gonna see? You got if there's many different facets of this. So when we talk about victim shaming, let's be very clear. Let's be very, very clear. No one wants to sit down there and bring shame upon the person where they have been violated, this, that, and the other. At the same time, when you scrutinize at what's going on, you know what the hell you did was going to bring some kind of attention to you. If you dress a certain way, it's going to bring attention. That's what the fuck you got it on for. Now, you can't get mad because the folks catcalled you, but you can say, I did not ask you to touch me. You don't have a right to touch me. And when you touched me was when you violated me. Now, we do know cause and effect, we do know consequences. So we got to start sitting up here buying into, and I know as podcasters, we have to sit up there and protect ourselves because we get the public that sit there, oh, you victim shaming. No, the fuck I'm not. I'm sitting up there doing what you doing when we get off this podcast. You gonna sit up there and say the exact same shit to your friends, to your girlfriends, and carrying on what we saying. You just don't want to take it public. So let's come up off of that. Don't blame the victim. This ain't blaming the damn victim. We sit up there having a conversation about the totality of all this, saying, okay, if this is true, X, Y, and Z. If that's true, X, Y, and Z. But let's look at this because this is an issue because this is what happened.
You know,
baby. So real quick. Oh my God. Real quick, let me get into some of the comments. Thank you guys for coming in and hanging out with us on Nights with Nicci. Listen, you got 3 people on this live from the motherfucking D. And if you know anything about Detroit, Funky didn't even say he can't stand. He said he cannot stand a Detroit bitch. But real quick, shout out to my sister Bobby Penn. She says, I agree with him about being too PC. We're in an era where anything goes. You know, I really struggle with that. I really, really, really struggle with that because I was brought up in an era where we had media training. You know what I'm saying? It was like everything is not for public consumption. You know what I mean? It's hard to unlearn artist development. It's hard to unlearn, knowing when you shouldn't say some shit in the public sphere. Now I'm the queen of saying what the fuck I got to say. But I try to, my husband gets on me all the time about it. He was like, you be sugarcoating shit too much. You need to just say it how you say it when you on the phone with your friends. And I agree to a certain degree, but we also live in an era where you can have shit cut together, spliced. It'll be a 1 edit roll of me talking crazy and loud. And then you got to think about, and not to make this about me, I'm just saying whoever it is, if you're a public figure, it's harder. You know what I mean? Because you are held to a slightly higher standard. Although, Bobby, I agree with you 100%. Eric Buckner's on here. Meech, he said, network, Detroit network. Preach, Meech. I love it. I love it. I love it. Detroit is in the building. And Dwayne says, that is why people don't speak out. The shame and how unfortunate it is. The millions of stories that, okay, let's bring it back on in and reset the room. 100% agree with you, Dwayne. He said, this is why people don't speak out. The shame and how unfortunate it is. Millions of stories go untold because of the self-blame. And let me tell y'all how serious this is real quick. Let me jump into this real quick. So you guys, first of all, can we just give a round of applause? Because our panel is killing. Our panel is killing. Our panel is killing. But I want to say this real quick, and I wanted to go solo on it because it's dead ass serious. Sarah Stokes, a lot of you know, I did a documentary film project on her called Broken Things, and it is about her being essayed by her father and her mother's boyfriend. And, I've been posting clips on it on YouTube and, on IG and whatnot. And I recently saw a clip of our sister, India Ari. And I didn't really even get too deep into the story because I was like, oh, I don't know that I'm mentally ready for this with everything that's been going on in my life. But I'm paraphrasing and I did not read it. And if somebody did, please feel free to bring it up in the comments. Or if one of my panelists knows the details. Y'all, please hit the like button when you come in. If you're watching on LinkedIn, feel free to go be froggish and run on over to YouTube and subscribe and hit like. And if you're watching on Facebook, please do me the honors and the favor of going over to the YouTube channel and hitting like. When you hit like, it lets the algorithm know that we are having dope ass conversations over here. It ain't just celebrity gossip. It's a little bit of celebrity gossip, but we really try to unpack it and see if there's something that we can extract from it that helps us go forward. And if we touch one person, just one person in this broadcast, then we're doing our jobs. But Sarah, back to Sarah. So Sarah Stokes, we did this documentary, heart-wrenching. India Ivory mentioned, I believe, that maybe her father, or I don't know if it's her father, her stepfather, but somebody in her life, essay her and her mother, right? Which is like, oh my God, right? And I'll do the research so we can kind of unpack it a little more. But in these conversations are so, it's crazy to me how these conversations, you got to say X and you can't say the real word, and you got to say DV and essay and all that on YouTube. But we gonna listen. We gonna do what that YouTube guys want us to do, cause they're we don't want no problems. But Sarah started becoming reluctant about telling her story, getting to Dwayne's point of this is why people don't speak out, because of the shame. And one of the things that Sarah said to me was that she felt like people did not care, because every time we tried to pitch her story to a network, we always got met with, this is so heavy, this no levity, is so dark, and people not believing her. I have members of my own family, it's no secret, my mom went through it, you know what I mean? And when she found out, when she watched the Broken Thing, and her and a couple other family members watched it and like moved to tears, because they're like, oh, this is deep, this is heavy, this is real. But the industry wasn't interested. The industry isn't interested unless there is a high profile figure attached to it, and there's a way for you to make money off of eyeballs because it's Diddy, or because it's Fat Joe, or because it's this person. How do we, Lauren, this question is for you again, since you're studying all of this fantabulousness about how we move forward as a culture and women get respected, how do we figure out a way forward so that celebrities aren't targeted because of a payday, because that happens in real life too, and we're not victim shaming or making light of serious issues?
Well, two things. The first, in regards to India Irie, she posted it on her Instagram, and she stated the reason why she posted it, finally, it was her father, is because her mother said, she was tired of protecting him as her father. But it was her father, and she's basically said, if you listen to her music over the years, there are things in some of her songs that talk about it, but not really, but it leans towards it. So there is that. To answer your question though, of how we get through it and how we change the narrative, essentially the people that are in control, that have the power to say yes on something, need to be more than just cisgender white men. There need to be more women that are in those positions, that are the heads of these networks, these studios, that are the decision makers, to say, okay, we're going to tell this story because there are other women that may be victims that need to know that, they are not alone. If anybody has ever read or heard of Tarana Burke, who is the founder of the Me Too movement, not the actresses, it was Tarana Burke, okay? Read her book, Unbothered. She is a hello. She is a Black woman advocate that had really, she is the one that started the Me Too movement. The celebrities just made it popular. But in her book, which was really good, it was a hard read though, but in her book, she talks about her own situations, where she had multiple that started when she was in elementary school, like not developed, not anything. And the fact that she told people and nobody believed her was a problem. So her being under the age of 10, not knowing how to handle the situation, because she did tell an adult, and an adult told her that she was, that didn't happen. So then it's just like, when it does happen, then what does a child do? If you go to your parent or your teacher or somebody at your church and say, hey, this person did this to me and I didn't think that it was okay, and they're telling you, oh no, that didn't really happen, go back and play, then what do you do? If you're that young, what do you do? But how we get these stories out there to the masses is that there has to be more than just men making the decisions to put these shows and put these movies out. I mean, Law and Order SVU been on for 20 something years, and people still don't believe women. And they rip from the headlines all the time. Just saying.
Real quick, I want to get into some of these comments. Dwayne says, I can appreciate the points, but I believe that we can have the conversation without focusing so much aggression against the victims. I apologize. We apologize on behalf of the panel if you took offense to it. I told you it's 3 people from Detroit, so sometimes you just kind of get it how we give it. But one thing I know for sure is everybody on this panel has either directly or indirectly been affected by the subject matter, and we mean no harm. We come in peace, and this is all about conversation and education, and I hope that you receive it in that light. Also, Danica says, I just had you up here, baby. There we go. Danica says, it's okay to ask questions, even about victims, as long as it's done with empathy and respect. Not everything is victim blaming. People shouldn't be forced to blindly believe without the space to process. That is so true. And Bobby Penn agrees. And XO says, talk about it, L motherfreaking boogie. I want to try to thank you guys for coming in here watching Nights with Nicci. We're going to go on. This subject is super juicy, and we're probably going to be talking about this as long as these trials are happening, because tomorrow we're probably going to wake up and it's going to be another celebrity. And I don't say that lightly or as comedy. Tomorrow we're going to probably wake up to somebody else who is getting sued for behavior. And just, I want to be clear, as somebody who's been in this industry for a long time, I can believe a lot of the stuff that these victims are saying. Don't get it twisted. I can believe a lot of the things that the victims are saying. I don't know I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying I can believe it happens because it just happens so much. And that's the thing. Like Meech and I were just saying when we were talking about this Fat Joe situation. We had a music teacher that everybody loved. Nobody would have ever thought that Mr. Butler would be molesting people's kids. And he was, in fact, molesting people's children. So, and severely damaged a lot of our friends' lives. So it happens all the time. And it usually happens with people that, folks love and folks don't believe could ever do something like that. So we have to be really careful being fans of somebody based on the limited knowledge we have of who they are, because I am here to tell you, and I didn't miss no words when I said with Tyler, some of the things he said, like intimidation. And yeah, I do believe that if you are working for Tyler and you're more friendly with him, you get more opportunities. I'm not saying sexual favors and all that other stuff. I'm just saying, generally speaking, based on my experience working with him, I feel like if you are friendlier with him, you get more opportunities. If you're somebody like me that's like, hey, I'm just here to do the work, I ain't here to fraternize, blah, 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 then it seems like you're more easily forgotten, or you don't fit into the sort of group of people who acquiesce. But I will say, that's kind of, I will just say that. Okay. Oops, wrong person. So up next, y'all, this is finna trip y'all out. Now this is finna trip y'all all the way out. Let me tell you something. Suge Knight, who I absolutely, I ucks with Suge. I do. I just feel like Suge is, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to some of the stuff that he's been talking about on YouTube. And how he feels about this Diddy thing. But I'm gonna read this and I'm gonna tell you that Suge and C. Delores Tucker, these two right here, are actually on the same page. And Suge was one of her biggest adversaries in the 90s. So check this out, and then we're going to bring the panel back up so we can unpack this. And we're going to try not to make this 2 hours. But, you know, when we be talking, we just be talking. Y'all, make sure y'all hit that like button. Please hit the like button. Share this with your friends. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Nights with Nicci back again. All right, you guys. Suge Knight's message to Diddy. From prison, Suge Knight has been vocal about Diddy's ongoing federal trial, urging him to take the stand, come clean, and even name other celebrities involved. Here's the breakdown. Knight told Diddy directly, he might be stupid sometimes, but he ain't dumb. If they gave Puffy the opportunity to humanize himself, it'll be the best thing for the culture of hip hop. It'll be one of the biggest power moves of the U.S. I'm sorry. I don't know if it's of the U.S. or of hip hop, whatever. He's saying cut the deal, then fix hip hop. He's advising Diddy to strike a plea and let him speak freely, that allow him to speak freely in court. Cut the deal first. Get a situation where whatever you say on the stand, they don't use against you. When you get on that stand, fix hip hop, fix the culture, fix our people. Y'all, we about to get into this. Tell the truth and you'll walk. I don't know what Suge is talking about, but we about to get into it. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button. See, this is what I dig about Suge. My husband got me really paying attention to Suge because Suge be kicking that like real Holyfield shit, right? He says, tell the truth and you'll walk. Knight believes that if Diddy confesses to past mistakes and tells his truth, the jury might empathize and acquit him. If he does tell the truth, he really could walk. He can humanize himself and the jury might give him a shot. He calls out Diddy's artists and associates because he says his peers are silent out of fear. They're so scared, they slaves. Knight implies that fear is the reason for silence of figures like MJB, I ain't saying the other name because I don't believe that, and Mace. I shouldn't have said nobody's name, but I wasn't saying hers, but y'all can only imagine. Accountability over reputation management. He believes that Diddy truly owns up. If he truly owns up about the 2016 Cassie Ventura assault, he could promote healing in this culture. Knight condemned the entertainment industry's complicity in enabling abusive behavior and emphasized accountability. Why Suge thinks Diddy's testifying matters is because it is a cultural defining moment. He says the truth as power. By humanizing himself and naming names, he could shift the accused to the avenger and use this moment to expose an industry-wide wrongdoing. And he said transparency and healing. His belief is honesty could reduce the damage, not just to Diddy, but to hip-hop as a whole. From behind bars, Suge Knight is publicly telling Diddy that testifying, not hiding, is the smart play. If they can humanize him, shift cultural narratives, and even result in a better legal outcome. Now, this is an absolutely rare moment of alignment between Suge Knight and C. Delores Tucker. Because C. Delores Tucker was fiercely against misogyny, violence, and the degradation of women in rap lyrics. Suge, on the other hand, was a co-architect of Death Row Records. So he promoted the content that she was trying to get rid of. So at the time, it was about his paper chase. And he wasn't so concerned about what they called an old church lady who was out of touch. But now, Suge Knight is calling for accountability in hip-hop from his prison cell, ironically. He's urging him to tell the truth. He's saying fix hip-hop, fix the culture, fix our people. And C. Dolores is saying that you cannot listen to this over and over again without it affecting your spirit. So they're both saying the same thing: accountability, truth-telling, and protecting the Black community from exploitation. Talk about from the cell prison cell and from the grave. You got two of the most towering figures in hip hop. And whether you believe it or not, see, Delores Tucker was a force to be reckoned with. Okay, she took this thing all the way to Capitol Hill because Capitol Hill, hello, Supreme Court writ, P Valley. Nikki Gilbert Dance versus Lion Gate. Just wanted to plug that. But Capitol Hill is the only place you're gonna get some change. This is the irony of this legacy is that a man once seen as a villain of the culture is now echoing the warnings of a woman that he once labeled his enemy. These are two voices from two different sides of the war on hip hop, possibly finding a point of agreement through the wreckage. We let too much slide. Now it's time to clean this shit up. Panel and chat. What do you think about Sugar Daddy Suge and C. Delores Tucker finally feeling like they're on the same page?
Girl, can I talk? Can I please talk?
Oh, I have so many thoughts. Go ahead. You go
Let me
first.
give you. Can I give you this? That's gonna shut this the fuck down. You have to understand. See, Dolores Tucker, we are now her age now. Do you understand? We are now
You might
her
be her age,
age.
but I'm a little younger than she was, but okay.
Okay, but you know where I'm going. Okay, you know where I'm going. At the time when she was Suge's adversary, we were 20, we were kids. Of course, she was an old fogey, old church woman that wasn't in touch with the times, and this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. I'm chasing my bag. You know, I'm trying to make it. This is my way out the hood. This is my way, and we got something to say. And you know, we were F the police, and we were this, and we were that, and it carried on. We were young men trying to express ourselves, and this, that, and the other. You know, and at the time where music was male dominated. You know, it was all about that life. And then this is when it became gangster, because a lot of what she said was when rap was changing into gangster rap and carrying on. And now the whole street element of selling the drugs and being the pimp and all of that was taking precedent in the music. So if I'm a businessman and I'm on my hustle, bitch, I ain't got time to think about what the fuck you saying. You know what I'm saying? Because hey, now you sound like my mama. I'm not in my mama's house for that reason. You know what I'm saying? So now, catch. She's coming from the cell because now all that she has said done caught up with your ass. You done went down. Now you in the jail cell. And now you done became the old fogey. You are in the age bracket now where she was saying these things, and now here you are to somebody who was your peer at one point, who is now in that same age bracket, who is now, you know, the thing is, tell the truth. You know, save hip hop because yeah, now he can sit up there and say she had a point because why? You not got what you needed out of it now, and you see the error of your ways. Because this particular generation, now we are what we twerking, what we doing, child. You know, we Cardi B in, we sexy red in, you know, and we all that. You know, mush mouth rapping, carrying on. What the fuck? We got a song called Throat Goat. Okay, and you know what I'm saying? So we are here. So the biggest thing, the biggest thing is you have become the old fogey now. So of course your messages are going to align because she said that how long ago? In 86, 86, 87, 89,
No,
up
it
in
wasn't
there.
that long ago. It was 94.
94. Okay. Ooh. Okay. So 94. This is 2025. So you're talking 30 years. Okay. 31 years to be exact. Baby,
And
that's
it's
a
just
shit.
like it's like she prophesized. It's like, how did you know 30
Exactly.
years ago that every single one of them rappers that you was talking about in
Exactly.
jail, finna be in jail?
And now that he is living it, of course his message is going to align with hers because he got wisdom up on his belt right now. You know what I'm saying? And so now at this particular stage of the game, The only way that's going to come that we can save anything is to bring back artist development. And the reason why we need to bring artist development back is because right now we under the guise of being an independent artist, nobody knows how to play this game. Nobody knows how to groom themselves properly for television, radio, print, this, that, and other. Nobody knows about image. They know about branding. We press branding and trying to be
Baby, don't
entrepreneur.
nobody know how to do nothing but drop it low and spread it wide out here in these streets. Ain't nobody
And
got
there you
no
have it.
knowledge of branding or artist development.
And now, but a lot of that now comes to the low hanging fruit of the argument. See, because now I'm trying to go catch my bag. I'm trying to get this. And as long as we continue to reward negative behavior, then this here will never be. And we have allowed the record industries to dictate what hip hop is, because hip hop has made the most Black millionaires, period. And has stole a lot of money. Hip hop has done that, but we created that, and we have allowed the industry to come in, usurp our territory, take all the money, take all of the, all of the creative content and everything. What you're fighting, okay? Okay, take all the creativeness from the folk, and then package it up under license agreements and this, that, and the other, to where now some of the artists can't even be the character that they done made and claimed. You know what I'm saying? Because why? Which is why, remember, before it was gangster rap, it was all fun. But if you wasn't living that life, then you was considered to be a fraud. And so now, if you was faking the funk or being a fraud or whatever, you're not about that life, then you had no credibility. So then remember, because there's something I need to find this, where the music execs were talking about the direct prison to rap pipeline that they set up there, said that how is it that we let that be a rite of passage for our young boys, and some of our young girls will sit up there, go to jail because they on some street cred shit, and they come out of jail with a rap contract because they were rapping in the joint, and then you get a rap contract or whatever.
With teardrops down your eye, like I'm a
Yeah,
real one.
right.
You understand what
You
I'm
know
saying?
what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is real quick, let's get into some of the chat. Danica says, Suge really thinks that Diddy should testify to save himself. The prosecution would eat him alive, and snitching won't earn him any respect. Just more heat, especially in prison, if it doesn't work. Wow. Bobby Penn says, I like him, and I think she's talking about you, Meech. EXO says, Suge wants Diddy to do what you suggested he do, Nicki. Right, I did say that. Throw himself at the mercy of the court. An acquittal is far-fetched to me. I suspect he'll get convicted for some of the charges. Sean Combs would have to show up on that stand, not Diddy persona. And I don't see that happening. Wow, that's really powerful. And let me say this, because I agree with what both EXO and Danica said. But keep this in mind, guys. Keep this in mind. Let me tread a little lightly. Let me tinker a little lightly on this tightrope. Please hit the like button. Please hit the like button, so the people know this conversation is good. And then I want your opinion on this. But real quick, I think what Suge may be trying to say is that, because listen, I'm not even gonna hold you up. And Meech, you kind of touched on this a little bit. When you start talking about the prison pipeline in hip hop and in music and in entertainment, right? If we're honest about what's going on in this entertainment industry, Black folks have had a really hard time in it since the beginning. Right? I mean, really. From the song Strange Fruit with Billie Holiday, when she saw the body swinging, to Ella Fitzgerald having to have Marilyn Monroe or one of the white actresses demand, or was it Dorothy Dandridge? One of them. You said it was who? You said it was who, Lauren?
Dorothy
It was
Dandridge.
Dorothy Dandridge. See, that's why she's here,
It
y'all.
was Ella
Encyclopedia.
Fitzgerald too.
Oh, it was Ella too?
It was Ella too. Ella had they would not let her play this one particular club. So Marilyn Monroe called down to the club and said, I would be in the front stage in the front every night that she's there. Uh and that's how Ella got to be able to play that particular joint. And that is what picked Ella's career up because the white folks came out. Yes.
Okay, y'all, I'm telling you, it's just so much, so much, so much. Okay, I hate that this show ain't 17 hours. But the point I'm making is, for years, Black people have really caught hell in the entertainment industry. I mean, think about it. Come on, you guys. Bob Marley, Michael Jackson, Prince, like everyone. I say it all the time. It's either drugs, addiction, suicide. You know what I'm saying? Well, I can't even say that on YouTube. Come on now, YouTube. We got to be able to have one serious channel. But Pipeline. If Suge is saying it doesn't sound to me like he's telling Diddy to speak up, like, this will really benefit you. This is how you'll get off if you just make people like you. And that's not what I'm saying either, right? I think he owes it to his children. I think he owes it to his oh, God bless Miss Combs. People can say what they want to say about how she was enabling this and that and the third, but that's his mama. And I think until you know for sure what you're talking about, you leave mamas out of the conversation. I can't even imagine what she's going through right now watching this happen with her son. But I think Suge is basically saying, we all know that it's a lot of crazy shit that has happened in this industry for many, many years. And I think I said it a couple nights ago in my little op-ed, that white men have been doing this for years, right? And they get away with it. And also that the industry thrives on the fact that a lot of these young men, like you mentioned, Meech, who are coming out of prison, going straight to hip hop, they gonna come right back to where they left. So I ask all the time, are the people in power in entertainment enabling, financing, investing in people that they know that they will be able to pull the rug up from underneath? And it's Suge Knight saying, not, hey, say this so that you can get off or whatever, but if anybody knows about the dirt at that level that isn't just about Diddy and just about Suge and just about Cosby, but other people at high levels who have been participating in this and who just keep getting off. And I think what he's saying is, lay on the sword and just let that shit out and say what it is. And so everybody can be held accountable, not just you, not just me, not just hip hop, because hip hop has been enabled for years. You can't have a rapper do an album and buy a chain, a car, and a house, and F bad bees and all that other shit without having the financing and the backing and the resources in order to do that. And you cannot tell me that these people who are giving them these deals and signing them to these labels don't know that you're signing Lil Murder in real life. And we even got, listen, that's the reason why, and I hate to bring everything around into P-Valley, but I mean, shit, since I said it, I'm gonna say it. That's the reason why you have stereotypes like Lil you know who, murderer. And I've said a million times, people think that Katori Hall developed and wrote and cultivated and did all of this by herself. She did not. Go look at IMDb. If you think this lady controls all of these narratives and decides what's what and who's who, that is not true. There are older white men, young white women, people who are culturally incompetent, look nothing like us, perpetuating these narratives on P-Valley and every other show we watch, Power, all of them. It's a narrative of, when I saw some, I stopped watching. I don't even know what the show is, so I'm not going to blast it by naming it because I don't know which one it was, but I literally saw this. The actress was teaching the son, who was the actor, how to cook crack in the scene of one of them shows. It was on Stars. Showing him, oh, if you're going to do it, let me show you how to do it so you don't kill nobody. Every show we watch, every narrative we see, I've been standing on my soapbox screaming about this shit for 50, 11,000 years. Everything we see is cook, crack, strip, drop. It's also negative. And if there's a way to change that by saying, hey, there are people up here calling the shots. There are people, because guess what? There will be another Puffy. There will be another Fat Joe. There will be another Tyler. There'll be, allegedly, if these folks really did this. There will be others, as long as there is a person out there financing that narrative, financing those stories. And as Black people, the onus is on us to unsubscribe to the bullshit. I'm not saying this because I want to be preachy and see Delores Tucker. She already said this shit, and they didn't listen to her when she said it. She went all the way to Capitol Hill, and these fuckers did not listen to her when she said it then. It destroys our community. So what do? Wait another 30 years until we just ain't got shit at all? Like everything is done? Because we're not listening to the people who care the most. Of who cares more about the Black community than the Black woman? And when she goes to Capitol Hill and says, this is going to happen 30 years from now, this is where we are. Okay, my long-winded ass. Lauren, speed talk.
Well, okay. So there's a lot in what you just said, and some of what the comments have been made, and what Meech has said as well. So when you look at it from an economic standpoint, because that's really how America is run, for those of you who don't know that are watching, America is run by money. Everything is about money in America. We are a capitalist society. That's just a fact. Don't get mad at me. That's the truth. So you mentioned like this pipeline from prison to become rap star. Okay, somebody has to back it. The companies, these record companies, these entertainment companies, production companies, these studios are the ones that are funding these things so that they can get to where they are. Now, I'm gonna mention this, and I know a lot of people think he is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and sometimes I think he is as well. But Kanye West, who, when he first came out with the College Dropout, I was in college at the time. So on the College Dropout, Kanye West talks about, he had this money and he went to buy a gold chain before he did anything else. Like, you're not paying your bills, but you're going to buy a gold chain. It's in the stereotypes of this is what you have to do to be a valid MC in the game. When you have people like Jay-Z, who I absolutely love Jay-Z, don't get me wrong, but when you have people like Jay-Z who says in his song, he did this because he ain't been rhyming like Common Sense. We all know who he's talking about, Common Sense. And he talks about Common and Talib Kweli in the same song. Common, if you listen to Common, if you listen to Talib Kweli, Mos Def, or sorry, he's not Mos Def now, but because he changed his name. But if you listen, those are conscious rappers. Black Thought from the Roots, conscious rapper. If you listen to that type of hip hop, you want some other type of shit. If you listen to people like Jay-Z, Jermaine Dupri, Busta Rhymes, they talking about money, they talking about women, they talking about traveling. Fat Joe is in that category too, and these younger kids that I don't listen to because I can't understand what they say half the time anyway, they not talking about anything, in my personal opinion, and they just reusing hip hop beats from the 90s and the early 2000s and saying it's new, and then not recognizing like, hey, that's too short to beat. But I digress. When the people at the top with the money are putting the money in the pockets of the people that they choose, that's how you get people like Diddy. It was a choice. Granted, he came up through the system, he was started A&R and all of that when he first started in the industry with Andre Harrell way back in the day at Uptown Records, for those of you all that don't know that bit of history. But that's how he started. So
There may have
somebody
been some grooming.
that could have been some
I'm
grooming.
not
Grooming
saying
is,
that it was, but I'm saying
it could have been. It could have been. It could have been. We don't know because we weren't there. In the 90s, I was in elementary and middle school. I'm just saying, I was
and
born
I
in the
was
80s.
minding my business trying to impress Michael Jackson, so I wasn't at the
Okay,
parties.
you know what I'm saying? I wasn't there. But grooming is a very real thing. And we've heard, people like Usher and what his mother has said about stuff that was happening. And she was just like, no, you're going to come out of this situation. I'm not going to have my child in this. Same thing with Justin Bieber. All these years later, stuff has come out about what happened to him when he was younger. Everybody saw that he was talented and said, oh, this kid is going to be the next kid. He can sing, he can dance. We're going to make him hip hop. We're going to make him be that. They did the same thing with Justin Timberlake when he broke away from NSYNC. So the people with the money, that like Diddy, of course he has money, but he doesn't have as much money as they have. So people with more money say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to pull these strings, and then we're going to put this person over here. We're going to put this person over here. We're going to put this person over here, this person here. Now go do the work. And then you got the people that's on that level, which would be like the level that Diddy's on, that's going out here and making all these deals and signing all these artists to these bogus deals. I mean, y'all saw the New Edition movie and how BBD was upset. Michael Bivins was upset about the deal that he signed because he didn't read his contract. Because we don't read the contracts.
But
We
who?
just
Let me say that's some bullshit. Because he was a kid. Children don't read contracts. I didn't read my shit. I was 23 years old. I was Michael Jackson.
he was a kid, but in situations where you have your adult that's your advocate, when you're living in the hood and you in the projects and you trying to get out of that, you just gonna sign whatever it is because you're gonna make this amount of money that's gonna take you out of here.
Mm-hmm.
You don't look at long term. People don't know what in perpetuity means.
Right. It's a lot. It's a lot of big words in the contract. Yeah.
Right. So people don't know what
Right.
that is unless that's something that they have to deal with on a regular basis. They're not looking at that. They're looking at the bottom line is you're going to give me this amount of money to do something that I love to do. But then on the back end, I mean, look at what happened with TLC. Had the #1 album and didn't have no money. That was crazy.
That's this industry. I will say we got $50,000 to split amongst the three of us, and we thought we was rich. EXO, Hattie Wake. I was buying people shit. I was treating at dinner all the time. All my cousins, some of them probably watching on Facebook. Yep, I got it. Here, I got it. And then you broke it, be like, well, what? But anyway, and that's another setup. They know that we're not really ever going to make enough money to take them to task. But some of us become pro se litigants and go all the way to the Supreme Court broke as hell. Excuse me. Some of us go all the way to the Supreme Court broke as hell. So who knows? But real quick, EXO says this is why I come here, because y'all be dropping gems. Thank you very much. Please hit the like button and share and subscribe. And Danica says a childhood friend said adult parties were frequently held in the home when Diddy was very young. And Diddy witnessed things that may have desensitized him to sex or X, whatever. So dumb. So this is very true. This could be, I'm sorry, very true. She also says they could have his childhood friend speak on Diddy's behalf. The problem is it was Diddy's mother allegedly hosting these parties. Very interesting. And EXO says the puppeteers and the Geppettos, Lauren. That's right. 100%. You guys, if y'all joining us, this conversation is filled with lots of gems, and we appreciate the fact that you guys are always, I see Meech over there yawning. Meech was at the party with us last night. He was at the party with us last night, baby. So real quick, you guys, I want to make this too. We already running into the, oh, well, we're an hour and a half, a little bit. But as a person who's been in this industry for a long time and been standing on my soapbox with my fist in the air, calling for change, it's interesting because Harry Belafonte said he felt like it was too late. And I hate the concept of the idea of believing that it's too late for our community to change courses and for there to be healing and for there to be hope. But when you think about, I mean, some of the most wealthy, powerful, influential people in our community are now being accused of some really heinous shit. And it doesn't seem like, maybe they did, but it doesn't seem like they really came up with a plan to pass the baton down to other people who would understand it. I mean, people always had their kids, right? You know what I mean? So you always want to, succession, and you want to make sure your kids are able to do it. But, Diddy's kids aren't really old enough to really run his enterprise and really do it that way. They all seem very smart, and absolutely one day they will. But this is one of the dangers of like not having, and I hate to seem like we're always like, yeah, because if you had a black woman, or if you had a woman, if you had even if it was a gay man, just somebody in your corner that you treated as somewhat your equal, right? I always say about Tyler Perry, like, what other people, women in particular, because these men have a lot of men around them and a lot of women who agree to whatever the hell they want them to do. Part of the reason why black women are blocked a lot of times is because we're going to tell you exactly, most of us are going to tell you exactly what we feel and exactly what we thinking. And if we see you doing some stupid shit, we're going to be like, that's dumb as hell. Why are you doing that? It's not going to pan out for you. And they don't want us to, Meech, are you asleep? Am I putting you to sleep? You here? Okay. I'm sorry. I had to double check. But I think that is the reason why not only do white men and our white male counterparts not elevate black women who really care. Not a yes person black woman. Not a woman who's just geeked up to have a high 7-figure or 8-figure job riding around in her. Because, I mean, I know that shit is hard to come by. But somebody who is actually going to say, so Mr. CEO, my boss of the network who should be treating me like a partner, I don't think we should do this project because these stereotypes and blah, 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 blah. And then when they say no, but the numbers say, somebody who can say, I don't give a shit what the numbers say. We're not going to do this. If you do this, this is going to lead you down this road, and it's not going to be good. There's not one black woman, in my opinion, unless somebody can tell me, who is it, the Channing woman who was at, they get these diversity, equity, inclusion roles, but very few of them actually have the power to say, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do this. And we're not going to do that not because I'm trying to be an angry black woman or control your shit. We're not going to do that because I know, like Delores Tucker knew 30 fucking years ago, that if you take the show in this direction, R&B divas, it's going to implode. Because I know our people. I know what our people do. I know what our people think. I know what our people won't. You do not, sir. And you are funding the destruction of our community. Who is going to hold these people accountable now? Because all the people who we believed had the power and the wherewithal and the money and the resources and the relationships to be like, you're not finna tell me how to run my shit, now are at risk of losing everything. $250, $60 million lawsuits, 20 million here, 50 million there, 75 million. How does that change? And why are black women so afraid to count on each other, especially in this entertainment and media industry? Why do we care more about what's happening over here at Oscar or what's happening over here at the Billboard this and the yeah, it's nice to be recognized outside of your own culture, but we have gotten to the point where our own shit doesn't hold the value that their shit does, and that is their shit. And that's the reason why these narratives that we keep seeing every single solitary day on the dumb box keeps penetrating our community. And now we're standing here looking at all of our kings. Well, I don't know that they're kings. based on some of the things that they've done, but all those who could really make a change here, who got both hands tied behind their back and no parachute. And Black women have always been the parachute, not just for our community, but for everybody's community. Like I said, we are good enough to build this shit, but we are not good enough to own it. And that is a problem. Because see, Delores Tucker didn't know about ownership back in, well, maybe she did, but ownership just became a thing. Byron Allen has known about ownership forever. Tyler Perry has known about ownership forever. Diddy has clearly known about ownership because he went from the DeLeon thing being a spokesperson to one of them being an owner. You learn these things when you're in these rooms. Why are they not passing that information down to the group of people who are most likely to make sure that we create generational wealth and wellness with the shit? And I know y'all tired of me talking about this shit. I know y'all are, but look at what the fuck is happening in our community every single solitary day. We are looking up and we seeing shit like this right here. Or we're seeing Puff. We're seeing the fall of the icons. We are seeing Black men, hip hop moguls, Russell Simmons. Seriously, you guys, it's everybody. What do we do as a community? And chat, please chime in. We got some, matter of fact, here we go here. Good evening. They are not going for none of that. Yes, people only, 100%. Danica says, I think a lot of these men need to have conversations with Denzel and Sam Jackson, who can speak to strong Black women, keeping them in check. And don't get it twisted. I believe that their wives probably had a tough time navigating Hollywood, because I'm going to tell you what I know from my own personal experience. Now, mind you, Brownstone might be C, D, E, F list, whatever you want to call it, when on the Hollywood chain or whatever. But I'm going to tell you this. One thing I can tell you for sure, having a deal with Michael Jackson puts you in some rooms that are considered A-list. And I can tell you that a lot of times what these people will do, which is really crazy, is they will make it so that people start to, if you notice, a lot of young people who start off in this business, I've known Ray J and Brandy since forever, and their mother Sonia. He did a play called Twist. We did a play called Twist, and I was in my early 20s. I had just moved to LA, so they were super duper young, and their mom Sonia was right there. Aaliyah's mom was right there. Like a lot of these child stars and young artists, Chris Brown. Remember, you guys, y'all remember early on, Chris Brown's mother was in the cut. She was there. She was like, no, don't play. This is my son. You know what I mean? So what they try to do a lot of times, which I think is horrible, and back to what we were talking about as far as Denzel Washington and Sam Jackson's wife, I'm sure those women had to fight off Hollywood, who wanted them to not listen to their wives, who wanted them to not listen to people who genuinely care about them and genuinely have their back. Black women are always going to tell you what you need to know. And thank goodness, Denzel Washington, Sam Jackson, who else? There's a couple other ones out there. I think Martin probably is. It's some folks out there who have strong women in their corner that are not going for that shit. And they try real hard to get them up out of there. And there's a reason. Look, Justin Bieber's mother was involved in his career early on. You see, Usher's mother was involved in his career early on. So people's parents show up and they are present and they get put the fuck up out of there by the powers that be. Y'all know I get real passionate about this shit. EXO says, come on, Nikki Daniels, talk that talk. Thank you very much. And Danica says, also, I think that some Black women are so tired of playing the background. When they finally get the spotlight, they're, baby, when they finally get the spotlight, they are blinded by it. Talk about being distracted by the shiny shit. That is the biggest problem. All up in the videos, dancing. Okay, somebody else talk. My throat hurt.
Okay, let me come in. Somebody else talk. You know what? Let's put some perspective on this, because When we look at the gatekeepers, see, that's one of the things that we have to. We are not going to necessarily fix this until we recognize what our value is, because we keep letting them determine our value. You know, I always ask this question: what is the difference between a sellout and someone who is using this as a stepping stone to get ahead? Okay, because you hear that all the time. Oh, you sold us out. You sold your people out, and this, that, and the other. And do we call the reality TV shows the sellouts because we reward bad behavior, for them throwing drinks in each other's faces and flipping over tables and cussing and fussing the way that they do all the damn time? And then they got six, seven figure incomes, eight, nine figure incomes, just because they could say, "Who gonna check me, boo?" Okay. Just because they can say that and jump over a table and say, "Bitch, bitch, 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 bitch." Okay. And all of that. We are not going to do anything with it until we understand that our economic power, it doesn't work until we galvanize it. Because everybody want to be the individual. So yes, I have a whole hand and five fingers. Okay, but I can't suck the shit out of you until we come together and I get this fist for power. It does not work. But what happens is, we have been tainted with the whole idea of I got to get mine, and once I get mine, I don't give a damn about yours. You know, we still want to be one-stop shop entities. And I use that, and even in black-owned businesses. Why is it that you need to be the one-stop shop? If I'm the baker, you're the butcher, and the other child honey got all the vegetables, how come we can't have that same circle of money? You come get your bread from me, I get my meat from you, I get my vegetables from Lauren, and hell, I got dinner on the table. All of us we got the same client base. All of us making money, but what ended up happening? I'm the baker, and because you got the meat over there, honey, I'm gonna sell corned beef so that I can make my own corned beef sandwiches and say, "No, don't go get no. I got the better corned beef over here." See, and we try to sock and knock everybody out versus trying to sit down there and come together. There is no way that our community should be looking the way that they do when everybody who claim they want to rep a hood and they come from the hood, and all these millionaires and stuff that done came from the hood.
And we have $1
Okay,
trillion in buying power.
and buying power. Buying power. You understand? No one is willing to call them out, put them out, or whatever. And this is not to say that everything needs to be done, out in the open, because Tyler does a lot behind the scenes. Okay, that's hush hush. Oprah does a lot behind the scenes. That's hush hush. Because I didn't know that she put 400 black men through college. We didn't know
But
that
the,
until
but
we
but the
did the
thing is, that needs to become more popular. You need that whole thing with I'm gonna do charity, I'm gonna do good, but I don't want nobody to know because I don't want nobody to think that I'm trying to floss because I'm doing good. No, make that shit the regular thing to do. Set that trend.
Exactly. I totally agree. Here's the other thing. We need to have balance, because while we were sitting there talking about the music and carrying on, it's interesting that Dolores Tucker had to go tell us about how music influenced us. But when hip hop first started, we had Kool Moe Dee telling us, "I go to work like a doctor." Okay, that picked up. But when the negative stuff got to be louder than the positive stuff. KRS One, honey, they was up there. What? They dropping science and knowledge and carrying on. Fight the power. We got to fight the power, honey. We were living, but that there did not have a louder voice than the negative stuff, because the streets started to dictate the culture. When the street culture became regular culture, okay, now what? Listen, you did when Snoop started wearing Shirley Temple curls, he made it cool for a black man to wear his had a Preston curl and had Shirley Temple curls. Why? Because he was a pimp. Who else did it? Cat Dan Williams. Okay. Why? Because it was street shit. You know what I'm saying? It became street. So now, because when I did it, I was called a fag. Because this, this, that, and other. Okay. Oh my God, honey. It was okay. Snoop did it. It was high fashion. Okay. You know?
Oh my gosh.
No,
Oh,
but that's what happened. So a lot of what we had to look to, particularly because they were banking on urban culture to have to dictate society. And then when we had our Caucasian counterparts, honey, who loved to come to the hood to culturally appropriate everything, honey. They come down and get what they want because they had a good time down here at the speakeasies and carrying on and the hole in the walls. They didn't know nothing about a hole in the wall. They come down to the hole in the wall, child, and get their tea, honey, and then take the tea, honey, and then they try to make, serve it out there with crumpets. And the children weren't having out there in the burbs, so they had to keep coming down here. Okay. Then all of a sudden we got who? We got the Beastie Boys and Ice Baby. Okay. Who done came in and now y'all they winning Soul Train awards and they winning,
And living their life and making money, and
and
this did not
making
become a
money.
way of life for any of those white rappers who came out here and
Exactly.
played around in it,
And that
except for
became a
Eminem because
character.
he from
That
Detroit.
became a caricature for
right.
them. Because I can't even tell you the name of the Beastie Boys. I just knew the Beastie Boys. I don't even know them individually. Never seen what they look like, outside of day-to-day activities or whatever. They were the Beastie Boys as a whole. I don't even know what the hell they did since their albums and stuff. What are they doing? All of
Probably
that
rich,
became
probably invested all the money that they got from their good contracts that they daddies and they uncles and them negotiated for them, where they wasn't working for $2.50.
we as a people, we can always say what we didn't do because the evidence is already there. What we can do is if the question becomes, are we going to do it? Because now that we have the number of people who are over $1 million in that particular tax bracket, those who can do it, those who are able to do it, are they going to? Will they? If everybody were to adopt the school that they came from, if they went to their high school, the elementary, middle school, and high school, if they were to adopt all three schools that they came from, if they just start there, do you realize what this could do? If they started there, hell, what if the children wanted to go back? Y'all want to do remakes all the damn time. What if they remade uh Panther? Okay, not that it needs, I'm just using that as an example. What if they remade Panther and talk about the Black Panther Party and talk about what they did to better the
Because
community and this that
you
up?
can't do those things because the powers that be. Bottom line is, and this is, look, we at 2 hours now, like in real life. So Jesus, these conversations be so good. I don't want them to go away, but we at the 2 hour mark. But real quick, the reason why a lot of those things don't happen is because they don't get funded and they don't get marketed. I mean, shit, they done shadow banned the entire fuck out of me. That's why 3 people or 20 people or 5 or 10 people see, because when you are speaking truth to power and this is their shit, they have the ability to make sure that it doesn't go out. So when we're saying, please tell somebody, make sure you guys hit like, make sure you guys share this thing, we're saying it for a reason. Nobody's being a conspiracy theorist or paranoid when we say that good messaging and good stories get shadow banned. They don't get the promotion. They don't get the platform. What are we going to say, Meech?
Ask this because we're talking about these platforms. I just want to throw this out here just for the public to understand. How many of y'all got a fan base page? I got one. Do y'all know what fan base is? Because that's a black-owned platform. Y'all know that, right? Owned by Isaac Hayes III. He created that to offset TikTok and Instagram because
Hmm.
it got the shadow banning folks for their content and da 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 da. How many of y'all have a page? How many of y'all even post? Because I don't post regularly. I need to get on my own ass about posting regularly on my fan base page. I run the Facebook and Instagram first because that's what I know to do. It's
And
second
your
nature.
fan base is already established there. It's hard. It's a double-edged sword. It's like, like usually I'll be live on Instagram while I'm on YouTube telling my Instagram base, because I have a few 100,000 people over there. to come over to YouTube. That's the same thing with fan base. Like, people feel like they have to feed the platform where you have the most folk, and nobody wants to build this thing, no pun intended, from the bottom up, right? You know what I'm saying? We hear under 20,000 followers, don't get a whole lot of people tuning into our lives on a regular basis. And I feel like the content that is being shared here is valuable and it's important. But if we not cussing somebody out, dogging nobody out, spilling tea, exposing people, loud cussing and shit, even though we do be loud and cussing and shit. But because we're not doing that, it doesn't reach as many people, which is why I need everybody watching this video, whether if you are on Facebook and if you are on LinkedIn, please go over to WIRF.TV, which is our YouTube channel, and hit subscribe and share these conversations with people. So real quick, I just want to acknowledge a couple of people in the chat. Tracy says LL Cool J and Ice Cube have been with their wives for decades. And he says, I don't know why we even need reality TV. I don't see the good that it's doing us. That'll be a whole nother conversation. We'll talk about that on the next show, maybe. KRS-One and D gave us knowledge. And of course, Queen Latifah gave us UNITY, UNITY, that's for unity, UNITY. Love a black woman from infinity to infinity. Who you calling a bitch? Man, that was my shit. Anyway. Danica says, Nicci, as it pertains to black women not standing together, do you think it may be because some are seeking individual validation from the powers that be? We are going to have an entire conversation, maybe Sunday night. We are going to unpack why black women are so afraid to support each other. And by support, I do not mean going to a brunch, paying a bunch of money that you're going to walk away from and not see those people until the very next year or whatever. I don't mean supporting because you're buying products that you're going to use that work for you as an individual. I mean, are you showing up in the trenches with women like Delores Tucker? Shit, with women like Nikki Gilbert Daniels, who is fighting for all artists. As much as I be on here talking shit like I'm just fighting for me, no, do you understand how important this decision in the Supreme Court is for every creative on the planet and what setting precedent means? In fact, what I'm probably going to do at some point, I don't know when, but I'm going to go live and read through my writ of certiorari. It's about 15 pages, 20 pages. But I want you guys to understand what I am really fighting for. And the thing is, we don't show up for each other in the trenches. And listen, public opinion and how people feel about stuff and how people speak against things, it matters. It changes so much. And when you don't lean into supporting one another because you are afraid that you're going to be seen as difficult by the powers that be, thinking that if you acquiesce to the bullshit, it's going to position you to be more successful with these motherfuckers, you are sadly mistaken. We see what is happening with this Billionaire Boys Club. It is falling apart. It is coming apart at the seams. They are not able to take care of their own shit. How are they going to take care of us? How are they going to take care of our community? I would venture to say that if you had, imagine, and I want everybody in this room, in this space, first to hit the like button, but I really want y'all to consider this. Imagine that all the black billionaires and multimillionaires and moguls, Russell, Diddy, like all of them, right? Who have been accused of doing all of this terrible. Imagine, let's say it's five of them. Imagine 5 black women with that power. Imagine 5 of your aunties, your mama, your sister, your cousin. Imagine, as hard as we hustle, as much as we know how to make $1 out of 15 cents, as much as we can make a pot of beans taste like steak, can you imagine what we would be able to do for generational wealth and wellness in our community if we had the bread and the power and the opportunity that these men who have fucked up the bag have. And the fact that not one of them has put one of us in position to carry the baton while they work that shit over there out is crazy to me. So, Danica, we're going to unpack why Black women are afraid, because I think it is fear, why Black women don't really actually stick together. Bobby Penn says, what's the story with Isaac Hayes? He seems to be really polarizing to people, or seems to really polarize people. He just, see, that's the thing. Isaac is just no nonsense, and I like him. I think he just says what he has to say, and I think that you don't see the other the CEOs of these companies. You don't see how they react. They're not out here in the public speaking and advocating for their things. So some of them are probably 10 times as bad as he is, right? Which is why they probably don't show their faces. So we hold our brothers and sisters to a much higher standard than we do some of these other CEOs that are out here doing way freaking worse. I've been looking into fan base, looking into investing in their stock. And my sister says reality TV and social media has idolized toxicity and disrespect 100%. You guys, my husband is like, okay, you've been on this live for 3 hours. And I do have something I have to take care of, and it is definitely breaking my heart to have to break this love fest up. But I just want to say, if I've learned anything from this cultural reckoning that we have in right now, is this: Black women know what we talking about. We know exactly what we talking about. We have always known. We don't just speak for attention, even though leave it to the brat and several other people, I'm clout chasing. No, I'm actually laying on the sword for a lot of people who don't understand how important this ownership conversation is and creative equality is. We speak for the protection of our people, y'all. So the question now is, are they going to listen? Are they going to make space? And will these people invest, or will corporate greed and racial division keep repeating the same cycle? The smart money has always been on partnership. The real power is in unity. And the only way forward is to let the ones who have always protected the culture lead it. Because this time we are not waiting, we are building, and we are doing this shit together. So I think instead of Black women stepping up trying to fix the problems, and instead of us believing that no, he didn't do that, he couldn't have done that because I just absolutely adore him and he's such, it's time for us to just step away from fixing other people's shit and lean into helping each other and supporting each other and not being jealous of each other and not stabbing each other in the back and not believing that because we support this sister over here with her fist in the air. I remember Tamika Mallory talked about how, she didn't always get the kind of support that she deserved from our community. And it's always, when you look at Monique, you know what I'm saying? And she told us, you understand? So as a community, we have to stand together and we have to support the people in our community that are going to do the most for our generational wellness first and then generational wealth. I think that we might have lost Meech, but Lauren, thank you so much, Soror, for giving us the breakdown on Diddy. I'm going to take a little bit. Did I just break my nail? Damn. Okay, no, I didn't. I'm sorry. I heard something crack. Thank you for giving us the breakdown on Diddy. We are going to really put a lot of work into the next conversation. This next conversation, you guys, we're going to have is going to be all about Black women and what we can do to protect our families and our communities. And honestly, I'm calling on women in the entertainment industry to step up to the plate, step into your power. They have opened the door. We don't have a seat at the table because it was given to us, but we might have a seat at the table because the other one's going to be busy having seats in the courthouse. I wish I had one for my case. and a jury, but that's another conversation. But there are seats available, is what I'm saying. There's an opportunity here and there's an opportunity now. And I hope we lean into it. And that's not to say that we're like, ha ha, the Billionaires Boys Club is collapsing. Now it's time for us to step up. But to a certain degree, yeah. So smart money is on partnering with the people that you always hire to fix your shit. Partner with the people that you always hire to fix your shit. Ladies and gentlemen, Meech is not here. Lauren, you got anything to say real quick before we roll up out of here, sister?
Yeah. So real quick, because we've talked about this whole economic thing today and kind of how we got to where we are. So I just want people to look at the Tulsa massacre, but also look at Black Bottom in Detroit. Look at Rosewood in Florida. Look at Central Park and how it came to be. Look at Lake Lanier in Georgia. We had Black communities. We had the dollar circling. We had all of that. And then it went away because of freeways, because of a park, because a woman lied, because people were doing better than the people on the other side of the tracks. So when we get back to a place where we can rebuild that, then we'll be doing something. But, segregation and integration happened. Integration happened and segregation went away. And some people think that that's a problem. So I'll just leave y'all with that. I said that.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you to all of our chat. Let me make sure I got everybody's comments in there. He said, thank you, Lauren. Absolutely. Since you speak about real shit, I hope people listen. You guys, I am Nikki Gilbert Daniels. That is my soror over there. Lauren, you have been watching What's Nights with Nicci. You guys, please tell somebody that this is a good show. Tell somebody that this is Meech is ready to say bye. We saying bye, Meech. Are you there? Can you hear us? We saying bye to the people. Oh, hold on. Let me stop let me let him say goodbye because Meech was so good tonight, y'all. My panel's so bomb. Say goodbye to the people and anything else you want to share.
Good night, everyone. I'm sorry. Honey, I had talked my phone out. I had to go find my charger. But honey, I hope y'all had a good time, and I hope that you guys are really taking to heart or taking into consideration that, honey, we can't do this without one another. And I know that sounds so cliche, but we cannot do this without one another. And I want to add this before we go. Remember, Terry Crews had a Me Too thing. And when he said Me Too, as the first Black man who said Me Too, the children said that they still read him because they didn't want to believe him because he didn't go to fisticuffs with the white man who grabbed him and touched him because his wife said, baby, don't do that. You got more stuff at stake. You get over that. His wife told him not to do it, and he didn't, so that it wouldn't become bigger than that. And he still got called all kinds of fags, sissies. You ain't no man. You ain't no this. You ain't no that, and all of that. And he too said Me Too. So he said it. Nobody believed him because he did not fight. Now, how about that? So y'all did, get your morsels, honey. Dunk your tea and your crumpets in that tea, and we'll see you guys on the next go round.
We most certainly will. And y'all make sure he is running for city council, right? College Park. Is that right, Meech? Yes, so make sure you guys support him. Y'all listen, you have been watching for 2 long-ass hours, Nights with Nicci. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Meech. Thank you, all of our chat that contributed to this conversation. Sunday, we're going to have a big one. We are talking about why Black women are so afraid of our power. Where does that come from? Is it jealousy? Is it fear? We're going to talk about it. Y'all have a good one. Love you guys. Good night.